I'm Ephraim Sickly, and this is the Kickstarter campaign for the Sickly Tarot. Back in 2007, I bought a pair of notebooks, and I decided that I was going to make a tarot deck, just kind of randomly. I looked at hundreds of tarot decks and started finding things that I liked and disliked and things that I thought could be improved upon, and I started to come up with this picture of what I thought a tarot deck should look like. In 2001, in Chicago, I started drawing these pictures when I was visiting my friend, and they were just basic. They were almost just stick figures. When I started the tarot deck in 2007, after a couple of weeks of research, I realized that it was going to be a really good vehicle for this figure and give him an environment to live in. I thought at the beginning maybe it would take like 2 months, 6 months tops to make, and that was going to be it. So I did a few drafts and I was like, well, this is going to work out really quick. It's been a crazy process to try to get this thing together. It's not been fun all the time. It's not been easy by any means. I mean, some of the easy parts were sitting working on it, and some of the really hard parts were sitting and working on it. The quickest I ever drew one was something like 20 hours, and I think the longest took me somewhere between 120 and 140 hours of drawing. I didn't just draw the tarot deck. I drew the tarot deck and had it scanned and taught myself how to digitally process all of the images. I ended up not just making the standard 78 cards. I came upon this figure of about 30 extra cards, and I divided that up. So I made 2 extra suits of 15 cards apiece, plus 1 extra card. So there's 109 cards. I make a hand-cut version of the Sickly Tarot right now. What we're trying to make here is more familiar. The one I make now is on some nice thick card, and it's about poker sized. But the deck that a lot of people are used to is a slightly oversized deck with the coating and the rounded edges. And in the booklet, I'll have the standard divinatory stuff everybody's used to seeing with the tarot deck, and directions for a couple of different card spreads and uses of the cards, and the game instructions. Another thing I've done with the deck is to create a card game based on the game of French Tarot. A lot of people don't think of a card game when they think of the tarot. They think of the fortune tellers and things like that. But the tarot was created in the 15th century as a card game. And so what I've done is to adapt the game of French Tarot to my extended deck. It's basically the same rules of play. It's for 2 to 5 players. It wasn't until after I started making this deck that I started playing tarot. If you know how to play tarot, it's pretty easy to pick up. It just has a couple of little extra hitches to it. So there's that to look forward to. We're trying to produce some extra things that kind of go with the deck. Some pins and some patches and some coasters. Also, a couple of years ago, I drew some graph paper and we had some stationery made of it. And that will be one of the rewards we've got, along with some of the printed materials that I've accumulated in my studio over the years. In addition to my poker-sized hand-cut deck, I also make a few different sizes, so you'll find those in the rewards too. There's a few mini decks and one that's a little bigger than the one that we're wanting to produce here. We have looked into printing already. We have looked into shipping. I have all of the reproductions of this art ready to be printed. That's just kind of a matter of time. It's a matter of coming up with some of the details and the croppings of the artwork and things like that. We know where we're going to get everything that this campaign entails made, and we know how much it's going to cost to ship it to you. And we know all of that stuff. So that when I say, hey, you can't get this deck by Christmas, but if you fund this by Halloween, I'll try to get it to you by Easter, I mean it. I don't know what else to say. You should contribute to this campaign.